Hello, hello, and welcome to Hygiene Elevated Conversations and Innovations. Today we are joined by the legendary Kevin Lopez, aka Kev Talks Teeth. And yeah, no, that's right. That's your reaction, Kevin. So, Kevin, I'm pretty sure you're infamous.
Oh gosh.
Famous, infamous, one of the two. Welcome to the podcast. Would you please start by just giving your background and telling us a little bit about your journey into becoming a dental hygienist?
Oh yes. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me, but also infamous, legendary. It's a, I don't know. That just threw me off. But well, no, thank you for having me. What was I supposed to do? Background. Okay, hi.
I consider it an honor that I was able to throw you off your game by just a few words.
Oh, it's because dental hygiene is a very humbling profession, and despite, you get to meet all these really amazing, incredible clinicians out at trade shows or you meet them as a speaker or there's influencers. When you get back into the operatory, those patients will humble you down because they don't know what you do. And so
They don't care.
They don't care. So after clinical day, like today, you're just when you say legendary, like for good or for bad, it depends on, because sometimes I'm a little sassy. So I'm like, which one?
All the above. But I think you just answered the question. Which one?
Well,
depends on how you know Kevin.
Exactly. Well, and I guess to know me, I've been a hygienist for going on to my 5th year this October. I graduated in 2019. So feels like it's been forever, but when you look at it, it wasn't too long ago. And I got into dental hygiene. It was on a whim, if I'm honest. So when I have to play back a little bit into high school, I moved to Japan after I graduated, thinking I was going to be a performer. And I was singing at a live house, jazz music, and kind of just eat, pray, loving throughout Japan for 2.5 years. And then when I got back to the States, I had to really think about what I wanted to do. And dental was still not in my my wildest imaginations, but I was helping out at my cousin's dental practice as a front office. And so all I knew was like, I'm doing that during the day. And then I was going to school at night to be a pharmacy technician.
Ugh.
Yeah. And I got pulled to the back one day to assist because the assistant was sick. And I fell in love with teeth. I was like, this is cool. And the first thing I assisted was an extraction. So watching the tooth go from the forceps and into the biohazardous waste dispenser that I had, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And learn more about dentistry in that way. And then I guiltfully decided to audition for Disney.
I was
the
going to bring
Resort.
it up if you weren't.
Oh no, oh no, this is the backstory. Everyone has to know. Disney didn't want me. I went to Disney. I moved to Southern California in the hopes of getting into the Disneyland Resort for a specific production that was coming out at the time. And I got a call back, didn't get through my final audition. And at the same time, I had already applied to hygiene school so that my parents wouldn't kill me for moving away from home. I was like, oh no, I'm going to hygiene school. But in reality, I was in Los Angeles doing auditions all the time. And then finally, the Filipino guilt sunk in when I got accepted. And I was like, okay, I guess I should probably actually try hygiene school. And it was amazing. Like, I fell in love with dentistry on a whole different level. So, yeah.
Nobody else has had that story.
There's a lot to unpack in this.
I was like, do we continue on or do we just go with what you told us?
No. Okay. So Kevin, you started in the front of the office and then you went to the back. Isn't it almost like a whole different world? Like the front office has this a look and image, right? And then the back office is like totally different from
you know front. That thing on Instagram, the audio, or on TikTok where it's like the reality or all the assistants like, and then the doctors in the front office like, I'm spinning round like a ballerina. That's what it was. But it was night and day. And then there was a point where I was cross-trained to do both. So I would assist And if I was just me that day, I'd have the office phone in my pocket to answer while I was assisting.
Oh my gosh. I hope you were
So
getting texts, right?
no, because I was helping my cousin. So it was just I'm a Hannah Montana of dentistry. You get the best of both worlds, like literally. And I was like, this is again.
You were probably the best assistant ever, because a doctor could leave the room and you would just carry on whatever conversation or just do a little performance.
Probably, I don't know about that. But back then, again, dentistry is a very humbling profession. That's all I can say.
Not everybody wants a performance.
There was a review that said, he's a great clinician, but I'm sure he can give you a silent cleaning if you prefer. I think that was one of the first Yelp reviews I ever got.
Well, better than losing your professional edge, Kevin. That's
oh my gosh.
What is this, Amanda?
Yeah. Okay. You can go ahead. You can share it. Please.
Well, it's your story. It's your story. Basically, in one of Kevin's many accomplishments, you were doing a board review with Katrina Sanders and Missy RDH, correct? Is that what it was? And feedback was given. And the feedback from Kevin, I believe, is how the story went, was he's just losing his professional edge. It's like and this was like a large amount of people too, students. So everybody like positive, but like one, he's just losing his professional edge. Like, who says that? What student says that?
Okay, but who really wants to be professional all the time?
I thought that it was like I'm being relatable, but I guess they wanted, like high on a hill, the lovely goat herd. Like, I don't want to be Julie Andrews. I want like
yodelay.
Perhaps I should start asking for feedback, Kevin, because I think they all like me.
Don't. Ignorance is bliss, Joffrey. Just take all the positive and don't wait for that bad one.
Because it makes you petty.
And I know about these things now. So
you heard how petty I can get. So
it was the entire block around Disney. I got to hear about it. So. Anyway, okay. So Kevin, tell us, your Instagram handle is Kev Talks Teeth. Why did you decide to start your influencer account, and what is your typical content that you create?
Ooh, so initially I created this in the midst of sheltering in place because I was bored and wanted to separate my dental posts from my personal posts on my social media. And that was kind of around the same time people were just starting to open up and create their own dental pages. And I was like, oh, it's probably best because I might lose my professional edge. I should keep my personal and my professional life separate. And so, that's how that started. But it was more of just initially the idea was, yes, wanting to be an influencer, giving like product reviews and things like that. But for some reason, maybe some higher power, God decided that wasn't my line of expertise in this field. And it became more of sharing the experiences that I've had. So a lot of my content is the accomplishments that I've been able to do in the short amount of time, whether it's, I get to travel for a speaking gig, or if it's for a GBT training. I like to share those accomplishments because even a little bit, someone can see that, oh, I don't necessarily need to be confined to the operatory. I can do multiple things because he can do multiple things. And I don't have to have 5, 10, 15, 35 years of experience, as most of the introductions that we hear in the professional spaces. This clinician has had X amount of years of experience, which is very necessary. But to an extent, there's also weight for being a newcomer that has the latest information. So I thought that was where my content started to go. And it's shifting again into not only experiences, but memes of me trying to vent of fun things that happen in the operatory, such as if I lost my professional edge or I don't want to see him because he's too young. That one's there.
I'm gonna start counting. how many times he's going to make a reference to the losing professional edge. I think we're at 4 already.
Kevin,
Is there a prize at the end?
I can relate to that too young to be my provider comment, though. I once, I'd probably only been practicing maybe like 3 years at this time. I didn't have a key to the office, and I had shown up before the office manager, and a patient showed up super early to their 7 a.m. appointment. So it was me and this patient standing out in front of the office. And in light conversation, he asked me what I do at the office, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm one of the hygienists." And he goes, "You better not be my hygienist. You don't look old enough to be my hygienist." And I'm like, "Actually, I am. I'm the only hygienist here today." And the office manager, like, then it's weird for like a few moments, right? And then the office manager arrives, opens the door, and I'm kind of like, this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And then he tells the front office staff, like, "Yeah, no, she's not cleaning my teeth. Reschedule me." And he left.
Way.
Yeah, and so, and I wasn't, gosh, how old would I have been? I was like probably 27 at the time. And I'm like, wow, I'm too young to be his hygienist. And it kind of made me cry, like just a tiny bit. And then now I think about it, I'm like, that's hilarious. Like there's so many younger hygienists. And that was like actually so rude to like behave that way on their behalf, right? I'm like, you are crazy.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know what it is. And I think that's another part that I try to portray on social media is we as a whole are held responsible to how we allow the patients to behave and respond to us in the operatory. And for so long, it's been more, and a lot of practice consultants will say, we are still in the line of business and customer service. And there's a little truth to it, but we're still healthcare. And so but I don't know where we decided that we were going to let them speak to us in that manner. And so my goals now are like, well, no, that's not going to play. Especially in the last couple of years, you hear it's either my age, my gender, my ethnicity. So you're like, okay, these are just like really nonsense answers and reasons that you don't want to see me or that you don't trust that I know what I'm doing at this point.
Yeah. That's shame. That's sad. I will say, enjoy people thinking you're too young to work on you. That hasn't happened to me in quite a while. Nobody's questioned me in a long time.
Well, I know, but now I watch Kevin making a hilarious video about this. I'm like, it's so relatable because like that stuff happens to us. Like it's real life. It's happening.
It's surreal that it's happening. Like it's 2024. It's more like, is this really still happening? Is more of the question, right?
Yeah. I mean, you should be more concerned if I'm too old to be your hygienist at this point. I mean,
like how good is this person? That's like all I care about. I'm like,
I'm 80 and still trying to hold my scalers. Like, you should probably run for me. But
okay, Joffrey, I'm gonna tell you now. Last year we had a hygienist in our practice. She was pushing 80.
Stop
it. She was still practicing. She was still practicing.
If I'm 100 and I'm still,
I was like, why aren't you retired?
No,
and she just was like,
I saw world's oldest dentist, Japan, 101.
I believe it. The Japanese. Oh gosh, like I don't know if I'm gonna get that genetic because I'm half Japanese. Like where we don't die.
We're immortal.
We are immortal for some reason. But like that's different. I don't know. But 101. You're like.
He must still love what he's doing. But yeah, he was wearing like a little. It wasn't even like a surgical looking cap. It was more like a chef's cap without the top. So it was just like. It's like, this is the practice I started.
Awesome.
80 years ago. So, all my original patients probably. So, well, Kevin, in your just few years living on this earth, you've accomplished quite a bit. So what are some key projects that you've been involved in since you graduated? And where did you graduate from? We didn't get to that.
Oh, yeah. I graduated from West Coast University in Southern California, literally right across the street from the Disneyland Resort. which is exactly why I applied for that program. Because it would give me enough time to study the roles that I was trying to portray at the resort while making sure I understood what this, oh my gosh, stratified squamous cell epithelium was.
Perfect.
Way to
Perfect.
maintain a professional edge.
But key projects. I'm trying to think. Since I've been involved, definitely board prep was a big one. That was like that started everything for me, I think.
How did you get into that?
That was luck of the. It was weird. It was the day that I finished my master's program. Katrina Sanders called me, but I had known Katrina already for some time, and she had seen me provide original research at one of the ADHA conferences when I was a student. We kept in touch on social media. Kind of started to go to her for mentoring and questions about what was happening in my practice, and should I stay, should I go, or is this working, is this not? And she had kind of started to tell me ahead of time before I started my master's, have you thought of, so you are a performer, have you thought of speaking? I was like, I don't get how those are the same things, but definitely figured out that they are. It's just in a different, arena, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And the day I finished my master's program, she called me and she was like, you have been on my mind so heavily. I was like, oh, thank you. That's an honor coming from the dental hygienist. And then she said, are you open to being my faculty for my board prep? And that was like 2 years out from school. So I was like, I'm a baby. Like, what? I said, well, do you have your master's degree? I was like,
I said it. What your patients were thinking. Just kidding.
Well, at that time, I was like, I'm only 2 years out. We just got back from shelter in place. So I lost 6 months of practice. So I was like, I don't know, huh? And she was like, well, have you finished did you finish your master's degree? I was like, I literally finished today. She's like, then you're qualified. And she took a chance on me. And that just changed the trajectory of my career completely. Wow. So thankful for Katrina. Hi, Mom.
Still mentorship. Like what was the initial relationship? I'm sorry, you said it.
She was my board instructor. She was my board. I went through her for board prep. Our school provided the board prep. Like in our tuition package, it was the school's responsibility to find someone to do the board reviews for us. And then it was mandatory that we went. And it just so happened we were lucky enough to have Katrina.
Wow. Okay. But then you were smart enough to say, hey, let's maintain relationship with the dental wine business.
Only because she also plays the flute. And then we were like, oh, sister, you play the flute and I play the flute. We are friends.
That's funny. But you had to have a conversation to initiate that shared instrumental passion.
Oh, absolutely. When you're tired, you just kind of start saying anything and everything. And I think that's what she probably liked, because she still encourages to speak freely, albeit professional edge may be gone. Is that 6 already?
I think I brought it up. I don't know.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the conversations that I had with her was like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do or if this is the practice I want to work with at the time where I was working, because things were like not unethical, but I did have a lot of ethical dilemmas and I didn't know how to navigate that. And her being a speaker and like hearing how she spoke, I was like, okay, maybe she can help me figure out how to navigate this conversation with my doctor or with my teammates. But instead, she kind of put me under her wing and then threw me out of the nest into the speaking realm, which I'm still so forever grateful for. I'll never say I'm not thankful for her. She's always going to be that number one person that started everything for me.
That's awesome. So what other
you are the number one person who started everything for you, Kevin?
Yeah. Oh no. I can't not share the credit. Like I know, and everyone says that, but it's still like I have so much. This field is not. I don't look like everybody in this field, not just because of the color of my skin, but specifically like identity. I'm a guy, so there's a lot that's frankly is kind of set up against me. It's going to be a little harder for me to push, and I can't not thank her enough to say that you were the person that trusted me, because you could have chose any other student out of my cohort or anyone at the time that you taught board prep that whole year, however many programs that you went through. You could have chose one of those students, but for some reason you chose me. Yes, I may have had something, but it still took you to say yes. So I have to give her credit for that, and I have to give her the flowers for that. 100%. We share this together.
Mm-hmm. You're so sweet, Kevin. Kevin, I want to know, what are some of the most rewarding experiences you've had in your career so far?
So the first one is my first published article on RDH magazine. That was amazing, and it was like that felt amazing because I was like, oh girl, I'm smart. I can write.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it?
It's a weird feeling because, when you're a student and you submit everything by 11:59 and 59.59 seconds, like I don't know if I got this right or not. And when I got published, I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is a really good feeling, and it's validating that the editor of RDH magazine decided this is good. You have no notes. We're publishing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And getting to speak in front of 300 Japanese hygienists last year in Japan was wild.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think this year it's like everything, it keeps changing, and now it's getting the award of distinction this year. I have to say, like, it feels really good.
Congratulations!
That one really was like, oh wow, this is is this what it feels like to win an Oscar? I should be more humble, but yeah, like. Again, Disney didn't want me, so I'm trying to like make this work.
We got you, Kevin. We got you. The hygiene community got you.
Thank you. I'd have to thank the Academy for the consideration, and I share this with everyone in my category.
So, what was your topic that you wrote on for the magazine?
So the very first one that I wrote was a co-authored article with Katrina, and that was more of student learning during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, okay.
But my first on my own was an ethical piece on doing hygiene before a comprehensive visit.
Oh.
And learning how to navigate that, because a lot of times, and I'm sure everyone has had the encounter where the new patient's scheduled on your side and you do all the assessments and the hygiene before the doctor meets them. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of break down, some states have different laws, but it's still an ethical thing for us to consider what our state practice act tells us, because every hygienist has a specific scope of practice in their respective state. So we have to adhere to those things. So when you ask those questions, it is an ethical dilemma. And how can we deliver to our doctor that even if you say so, the law says no?
It's a good saying.
And that could be very difficult to bring up. So that is a great piece. I like that, because that is a dilemma for sure.
Yes. And it's because it's a business. It's a business. And so they're thinking, well, how are we going to maximize on profitability or just workflow of the day, just making sure that it's worth it. So but there's ways to do it ethically. But we are, again, as a community, we are held responsible for allowing the patient, the patient's behaviors, what they want. We do respect autonomy, obviously, but we still have to practice within the parameters of the law. And so there's a way to do it, but we've just been so complacent because maybe we want to keep the job, or we didn't know what to say, or we didn't take it upon ourselves to really look into it. So at least now there's a resource for them as a reminder. Oh, that's right. I can refer back to this to show my doctor this isn't going to work.
And Kevin, I want to go back to the co-writing of the articles together.
Yeah,
that was actually the exact same way I pushed my first article out. Was a co-article between Shelley Brown, one of my incredible hygiene professors. Yes. And it's almost like an initiation, like, let's co-write this, and then it's like the gateway drug, like now you are hooked on writing, like you're gonna keep writing. And
that's exactly what happened. It was really exciting to do the writing, and then Katrina and I did like a Zoom call, so where she saw the Google Doc, and like I could see her face just like, ooh, and she's like typing away because we were trying to make our tones cohesive. But we had already put both of our material together, and I was like, wow, she's like, wow, this is cool. This whole process is great. And then she was like, what's your angle on this? What's your angle on that? Girl, I don't know what an angle is, 90 degrees. And she was like,
now to get them to read this, that's my
yes.
angle.
Yeah, and then I realized, oh, that's what it is. And getting to use a different muscle that I don't have, or that I'm not used to using. Because again, performing is very second nature. So it's a lot of speaking, or in my previous life, a lot of singing. So that's where I'm used to getting your attention is singing or saying something maybe out of pocket, which is probably why professional edge. That's 6 now, Amanda.
At least 6.
At least 6. But with writing, now I have a way of, oh, there's a different art form that I can use. So it really invigorates my creative stream.
You know, I think it is like our duty, Kevin, when we hit a point in our career, we invite somebody new to write with us so that they can have that same empowerment feeling that we
and
get.
I'm just saying, it can happen now. Work with me. I'm totally down. Let's do it. You'll see a lot of oohs, ahs. What's your angle?
I love putting like pop culture references in my work. Talk about losing professional edge.
I saw I think it was on your Instagram post, one like in the background of one of your presentations, it was weird Barbie.
Oh yeah. My whole presentation is Barbie. Oh my gosh, Kevin, I wish you could see it. It is like the best presentation. I love it.
I love that. I loved it so much. I saw weird Barbie. I was like, oh, this is my people. I love it.
Yeah, there's so many Barbie memes in there, and like Barbie references, like it's hilarious. It's such a cute. Part of the presentation we do a drawing, so the students enter into it. They fill out a survey really fast. It only takes like a minute, and then their name goes into a drawing. And for the slide with the QR code for the drawing, it is literally Ken with his shirt unbuttoned, and then the QR code rests directly on his abs. And I'm like, it's just so cute. I just love it, and it's very edgy, I would have to say.
It's not edgy. That's fun. There's a different, like, I don't know. There's so many. You go to all these continuing education courses, and they all use the basic PowerPoint slides because Lord knows why, for the designs and then the design templates. And so when you see someone who actually puts things together, I'm like, wow. And I did that once for one of my GBT decks for the academic space, and I kept putting memes in, like, I don't know, the GIFs. I don't know if it's GIFs or GIFs. Those stickers. And like, it's very controversial. And so we were talking about like amoebas. So I had like a minion doing this, and the students loved it. And then I got the call that was like, we need to go back to branding. I was like, okay, whoopsie doodle.
Edge.
Okay, my bad.
You know, I had that same branding conversation. I tried to change something to be purple for hygiene, and they were like, no, you cannot change the color to purple. I'm like, but
it's our color.
And and there's you pick and choose your battles at that point. You're like, okay, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Lesson learned. Can't change the color.
For sure.
Oh goodness.
So what other like passion projects are you involved in, Kevin? So are you still doing board reviews, or what else are you doing?
I am still doing board reviews, and it started to expand where I'm doing like one-on-one virtual tutoring, which I have really started to enjoy, with getting to know the student. And a lot of the time the student has already had the first attempt. So we're trying to figure out what didn't work the first time. And I think that's really nice. It's really cool to see the aha moment, but also understand the same frustrations of when you take a test as a hygiene student and you're like, I thought it was this, but it's like, no, it is, but there's also the best answer. So how do we start to get rid of the anxiety? Because a lot of the times, you know, the material at that point, and it's a matter of just how you're going to take the test. And I had to learn that. I learned that after I took the boards, I had to actually learn how to take the test and not go through it with just anxiety and like clicking really fast on the test. But now I can really help them slow down, learn how to take a test properly, or a big exam, and then give them the confidence that, oh, it's not that I didn't know it. It's just I knew this. It was in me the entire time. I just need to learn how to pull it out of the compartments of my brain filing cabinets that are like completely just like, all the SpongeBob's running around just trying to find the one file. So that's been a really big passion of mine, and expanding my role with the LGBT community has been really fun, getting to go around and speak on behalf of a company that really provides amazing modalities that are ethical and like evidence-based. I can't thank them enough either for taking a chance on me and getting a really good response out of the people. And they're like, we're going to keep you going. I'm like, yes, let's just keep going. So those are my two big passions, is the GBT and the board prep, forever and ever.
Okay. I love that. We actually got to interview Dana Palladino.
Yeah.
So so I know you probably know exactly what she's doing like not pre-board prep, but pre-hygiene school prep,
yes.
On one-on-one tutoring. And that was not even a space I was aware of. Hadn't considered it. So having that resource for students, and especially, not saying you're so young, but being so relatable, and having that experience that you have because you're 5 years in. No, I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I think the relatability is really important too, because and there's something to say when it comes to experience, but there's also something heavy when it comes to relatability.
Yeah.
Because even I had a tendency to lean more on the faculty that were alumni from my school versus, the more well-seasoned hygienist instructors, because this one experienced the program, understood what the program was like, so she could give me, tips and tricks of how to navigate through it. And that stuck to me more than a study guide in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still remember everything she told me now, but I don't remember the study guides or the worksheets that my professor did with the nice, Dr. Seuss quotes every week. I'm thankful for it, but that's not what you like. Yeah. It's not embedded in me the way that the tips and tricks that an alumni was able to do. So I think it's super important to have both sides of the spectrum be part of cultivating and molding the new generation of hygienists.
No, I think relatability is incredibly important. Myself, it was not a digital board. So when you said clicking, I was like, what clicking? Like, calculus clicking? No.
I had to go to the Pearson Testing Center, and you sat there and clicked through it. No
clicking. Oh, I feel like the analog test should have been illegal, because those x-ray photos were the living worst.
Oh my gosh.
How do you like look at decay or do anything with like a Xerox copy of an x-ray? Like, it was like the worst ever. So
that sounds stressful.
It was. No. I was like, well, here we go.
Hey, but you're here. You're here.
I made it. What was was it a Scantron test? Like, how did they?
Yeah, it was little bubbles.
Wow.
So in school we had the Scantron still. So I'm not that young. Like,
pencils.
Yes. Okay. So I still used pencils in 2019. Okay.
Not an Apple
Scantrons
pencil.
were a thing. Not an Apple pencil. We use a Ticonderoga, the yellow one.
Ticonderoga is the best. Yes.
Ticonderoga. What did I say? Ticonderoga? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
There. I knew what you meant.
I'm close enough. But we had Scantron. So, but the board itself was digital. And now apparently the students are all doing their tests at the school that I teach at. Digitally, so I'm looking at them in laptops. I'm like, oh, you can't have your laptop out. They're like, but I'm taking my test. It's like, oh, okay, back in my day. So
yeah, well, back in my day, it was still flip phones. Like, the iPhone had just come out. So
did you have the Motorola Razor?
The Wi-Fi.
I never had a Razor. I never razored. I refused.
Really?
I don't know why, but I was just like, no, I will not razor.
I was so basic. I bought that razor, and then I would like do the half thing where it was in like on the divider of my pocket, so it was never in my pocket. Yeah. And when I was really mad at whoever I was talking to, I'd like slam it shut, and then open it to find out that it cracked the screen. But like dramatically, like, mm-hmm. And wait until 9 o'clock for those minutes. Wasn't the razor. Okay.
You're just cooler than me, Kevin.
No, it was a hand-me-down from my brother.
Aw. Okay. So those are your projects. How did we get there? Oh, board review, relatability.
Yes.
How did we go there? So how did you get connected with GBT? Was it through your social media, or how did that connection get formed?
It was a little bit of both. During shelter in place, I started taking a lot of continuing education virtually, as most of us did. Heard about air polishing, and I kind of learned it in school, and I was like, okay, why are we learning this right now during COVID? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just look into it anyway. And then there was this specific doctor, Dr. Pam, and she's I think she's on the East Coast, and I saw her, are you practicing 21st century dentistry? I was like, I don't know, am I? And learned about, and she was speaking on GBT. I'm like, what is this? Is this an air polisher? And then I kind of started I was like, okay, it looks like an air polisher. They're not calling it an air polisher. So what is it? So I emailed the rep in my area to kind of get to learn a little more about it. I got more resources. I did a lot of I went on NCBI and PubMed to really figure out what they're talking about. I know. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm a fact checker.
You said it. Oh, I love it.
I have to fact check everything. We evidence-based dentistry, right? That's like that's the goal. So I was like, okay, what is this? And we kept going back and forth, went back into practice, and the conferences started opening up. So I went to the trade show and I met the rep, asked more questions before I even got to like put my hands on a device, because I really wanted to understand. I was like, well, this really reminds me of process of patient care, like AdPi, but you just added something in here or threw something out and moved things around. I just want to make sure that this is like, because Esther Wilkins taught us this, is this okay with this? And so they're like, well, we started talking about it, and I was like, okay, cool. And I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this. And then I started talking about it on social media, and I think EMS was very observant of what I was doing, because I wasn't completely practicing GBT at the time. And when I was finally able to secure a device that was in alignment with the protocol, they're like, you really knew your stuff at CDA when you came to our booth and grilled us on questions. I think it would be really dope if you were one of our trainers. That happened.
The word dope, did they?
I can't remember. I think I said dope when they offered me the position, and I said dope. Professionalism at its finest, right?
That doesn't count. I'm not counting that one.
Okay, cool. I remember the date because Missy is also a GBT trainer, and I know that we talked at length, like, what is this? I want to know more. And her and a rep spoke to It's the Badass Hygienist, Melissa Abraka, and she was the one that brought me on the team. Mm-hmm. And it was on October 3rd, 2022. And they did it because they all knew that I loved Mean Girls. So they made sure it was a Startup Dental Hygiene Month. And it was on October 3rd because I love Mean Girls. And I'm not talking about the new one, okay? I'm talking about like 2004 Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
Mean Girls. Don't try me with the new musical. One? There is a new one. It's a musical. It's cool. I loved it. Great. But I am
OG.
I'm OG Gruel, okay? Joffrey's been like staring at me laughing. I was like, I don't know if this is amusing or not.
I love it. Because Amanda, this is like lining up with the rat card I just made. The graduation event I'm doing in just like 2 weeks from now. So
bet, Joffrey, bet.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Kevin, you will die when you see this image.
Wow. Well, it's giving Zennial.
Promoting the company. It's for sure promoting the company. And it's just a rat card. So if anyone doesn't know, a rat card is just printed front and back, but it's the same size of like a brochure. And so the front, I kind of went with like a hippie, retro, groovy kind of vibe. So it's like a little peace out hygiene school, a little girl or young woman in a like old school Volkswagen van, like driving away. Like,
okay, yeah.
Very cute, right? And then it says like enjoy the journey. There's going to be a speaker. She's talking about a journey, so it really plays it all plays together. But the back side of my card is set up to be like a text message, and
Like a
it's two
conversation
Gen
back and
Zs
forth.
talking, and they are discussing all the perks of the company. And it is like one of them is like, we're real professionals now, like talking about like holiday bread, getting the coin. Like it is
Securing
hilarious.
the bag.
Yes, it is so funny. And I'm like, I'm gonna send this and see what the company thinks. Like, is this too much, right? And they loved it. They're like, go ahead and print it. It's like, yes.
Love that. Again, relatability counts. Okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put it out there.
And like laughter and joy. I feel like that's my thing. I love just having a good time.
It's well, I mean, when you go into these things, especially as professionals, you're in the ins and outs, and you're always constantly, maybe to an extent, stressed at work, or like it's just you kind of get into a groove of things, and it's just like stagnant at one point. So when you go to a continuing education program, or to a speakers, or any of those events, you end up just like, where's the food? And then I guess I'm gonna watch this person like hold the clicker and play slides. And I still see it when I go to CEs now too. Like, well, this can be fun. Like, talking about numbers can be fun. As boring as it sounds, it can be fun. Ethics can be fun. Infection control can be fun. There's speakers out there who are doing it so well with memes. And someone, oh my gosh, I don't remember her name, but it was like talking about mental health, and all she kept throwing out were like YouTube videos in her slides. So half the time we were just like dying of these really funny YouTube like Vine videos. Like, this is what I want for my CE units. So we need more of more of us out there doing that.
And I have to tell you, I did a CE lecture last year, and I had plugged in some YouTube videos for it. And I always have my husband like check my stuff. I'm like, what do you think? And he goes, I think you have too many videos. Like, people want to come hear you talk, and you're just showing them that you're great at being resourceful. And so I was like, I took a few out and still kept some, but now I'm thinking maybe I should have just kept them all, because I'm like, I loved them, but
it's how you relate. It's
a more professional pair of eyes than me.
Well, because you can be resourceful. I mean, most of what we're taught to do is be resourceful as students. When we're doing our oh my god, what are they called? Fish bowls. We were resourceful. We got our patient, the records and the data and whatnot, and then we have to provide resources and references in our bibliographies and everything. So it's part of that. But the other part of being I think a well-rounded professional is delivery. How do you deliver the content that you got? Because the resources are out there. It's just great. You know how to use it. That's actually a skill that a lot of hygienists don't have, because they're asking questions on forums. But it's actually there for them, like Dental Practice Act or infection control or websites or academic articles. It's how you use it and how you're delivering it that makes it different and more fun. So, girl, what if you felt like you want all those videos in there and you can deliver it fun? Then I say,
thanks, Kevin. I will send
sign
you
me up.
Kevin has spoken
for proofreading. No, and I think that's really what's kind of shifting in the industry now, is that the younger providers are bringing a lot of fun. We're bringing fun into the academic professional like culture, and it's kind of cool to watch. Like like you're saying, Kevin, when you see a presentation that wasn't just clicking, you're like, oh, I love this. And that's kind of the content we all want to pay for, and we all want to learn from.
Exactly. You're putting so much money. You're as an attendee, you're putting so much money in for your license and for your continuing education on top of that. And then you already paid so much money for school. Like, make it worth the investment rather than making it feel like an expense, I guess, is the approach.
Yeah, like one of our past guests runs Muffins and Mimosas, and it's like a CE club, and they have like a brunch club. Whole like it sounds so cool. It sounds so cool, and I love that those things are happening.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I feel like Napa needs a brunch club like that.
I think Katrina does do like a wine and CE, and she's a sommelier. See, okay. See, that's the fancy bougie stuff. I'm not there. So she's too fancy. And I know that it's very well received. So I'm just thinking, for me, I'm like, what can I do that's gonna be fun that's, if it's not virtual, because a lot of the courses I give are virtual right now. So in person, I'm like, what can I do that makes it fun? Do I like have them do origami or like paint, like painting at the same time, or like they have like the puzzles and we create something together that's like cohesive and put it all together. I don't know. A lot of creativity, but that's the beauty of what we get to do in dental hygiene, is that there's so much or there's so many possibilities on what we do. It's just a matter of getting the right people to use the creative blood flow to make it work and make it happen.
That's exactly true. Yeah, it's exactly true. Okay. What other projects do you kind of have coming down the pipes, or things that you're like, I wish this would happen?
So I am going back to Japan to speak. So I'm really excited to do that, because it's a course I have to create for the Japanese audience, where they asked for me to provide a course on different modalities, GBT being one of them, understanding workflow and the difference between the United States and how we practice dentistry and how the Japanese practice dentistry and how we can bridge it together. And so I'm like still figuring out how to do that, but that is a very big project that I have to undertake. And I'm excited. I'm super excited because it's giving Miss International, but it's also very exciting to know that we can bridge things together, like truly work on a global aspect. Because if I look at it, when they call it a standard of care, why is it the standard of care of the United States and not the standard of care of Europe, or not the standard of care of Asia? So it should be cohesive, across the board, across the globe, standard of care. And sometimes it's not, based on availability or resources. So getting to show them that, and then I get to learn something from them too, makes it, and bring it home, makes it really, really exciting. So that's a really big project that I'm undertaking. And I'm working closely with RDH magazine to start doing like a column or series on ethics periodically. So seeing what that's going to look like, I'm really excited about. I don't know if it's on like the magazine itself or in a podcast form. I don't know. So we're seeing how that's going to look.
That's cool.
Yeah. Really excited.
It's going to be fun to watch your journey, Kevin. There's going to be all sorts of things happening, and I'm
gonna look like a hot mess is what I'm gonna look like. Just like running from like a chicken with his head cut off. Like, I'm gonna go here, and then run over here.
It'll feel like that on the inside, but the outside of you will be like jazz hands.
Oh, what it was? I'll look like, I hope to look like Elsa, although deep inside I look like Hey from Moana, like that stupid chicken is what I feel like. But I want to look as flawless as an ice queen. Thank you.
I'm curious, Kevin. When you present in Japan, like, do you speak Japanese or do you just present in English?
I will be doing both in English and in Japanese. So they requested that I wanted to do Japanese. One, I speak the language, so it's easier for them to understand. But what I'm finding is that the Japanese want to hear an English speaker.
Oh.
So when I spoke in Japan last year at their conference, I started in Japanese and they were really like surprised, but they were even more surprised that I spoke English, and it was like American English. So they were like, we want to hear more of that. So it's a very hybrid presentation that's probably going to happen.
That's a niche all day long.
I mean, if it books me, then great. I'm gonna ride with this for as long as I can.
Yeah, no.
I know English really well. Sign me up. I want to come to Japan.
Let's go.
Go to Japan.
I'm excited. When they need the team, we're going.
Yes. Perfect.
Noted.
We're ready.
Yeah, so those are the big projects that I have coming up that I'm really excited about, and hoping that I don't really have a timeline for it. I'm just hoping that it works smoothly rather than against me with everything that's happening in my schedule.
Yeah.
Kevin, we close every podcast with the same 2 questions, and Amanda and I love doing this because everybody's answers are like way different from each other. So I'm going to ask the first one. What piece of advice do you wish you could go back and give yourself as a new graduate?
Ooh. My immediate one is don't make it so hard. Like, don't make the program or don't make life. At the time when I'm thinking about where I was during the program, it didn't have to be that hard. And a lot of students, and I'm sure you speak at schools, so you're familiar, they're always like, I'm so stressed. And I had a classmate who every morning, because every day you have a quiz for a different class, right? So it's literally every day. Was like, I'm gonna throw up. I was like, no, you're not. It's gonna be fine. Stop. Like, and I think that it doesn't have to be hard, even though the material looks like it's a lot. It's digestible. Generations and generations of hygienists were able to do it. It's just how you have to learn more about yourself and be more self-aware to make it work for you rather than against you. Work smarter, not harder. So that would be the advice I would give myself, because I was like a mess.
I think that's great advice, Kevin.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Last question. What do you wish you would have learned in school that has taken you years to learn as an RDH? And after you answer that question, I would love for you to close us off with Let It Go.
I knew you're gonna do Okay. So what I wish I would have learned in hygiene school was more about business, like being a little more business minded, understanding how you can bridge healthcare and business together in an ethical way, and then how you can create your own business as a hygienist, because everyone always says like hygiene department is a business within the business, but never navigates you through how to understand that, even in practice management courses. So really learning how to do that, I wish I learned early on, so it'd be easier for me to start talking to my doctors. But now I'm still learning how to do it. So that would be what I wish I would have learned. Yeah. And you chose Let It Go, Amanda, really?
It's the end. It's the end. Let it go.
Oh gosh. Okay. I forgot how it starts. I'm trying to think. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Oh, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Woo! I love it.
You missed out.
All night. That was
Did you guys plan this?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you've been waiting for this all night. I was like, wait,
No,
what?
We should have asked you to sing all night. Like we could have just asked your songs all night long.
What did I throw in? I threw like, I'm spinning like a ballerina and high on the hill with a lonely girl. I think I threw something.
You did. You threw that one in on your own.
Yeah, this was on request. I loved it, Kevin. Kevin, you are an absolute incredible person. Not even just a hygienist. You're doing so many good things for our profession. And that's just one of the things that I feel Amanda and I admire the most about people is seeing them contribute to the profession and have the same care and feelings about it that we do. So just thank you for doing everything you're doing, Kevin.
Thanks. No, thank you guys. And thank you for having me in this space and for you guys creating this space for others. Like it means a lot.
Thank you.
I know. If someone told me a few years ago I was going to start a podcast, I'd be like, yeah, right. We're not doing that. And here we are.
Because everyone thinks that you're exactly. Because you always think like, oh, someone's already done it. But everyone has something different. There's a different angle. See, everyone has a different perspective, a different lens, and you will relate to people differently than how they might relate to another person. So it really makes a difference. And I'm realizing that more and more as I'm meeting more people, and I appreciate that there's so many of us out there, and I hope that it continues to flourish in that direction.
Yeah, that's one thing Amanda and I have talked about often is like, it felt like when you get out of school, it's almost like the hygienists with more experience aren't as friendly to you as the new grad. And then you enter this other world where all the hygienists are so cool and friendly and helping each other and want everyone to succeed. So it's like
exactly.
There's just a whole different pool of people, and I want to see that like trickle, like just to be everywhere. I want all the hygienists to feel welcome and feel
Elevate the
friendly
profession.
Yes.
To elevate the profession.
Yes.
Exactly. And you know what? You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Oh, stop it.
But don't. Just kidding.
All right. We'll hit our end recording. Thank you so much, Kevin.
For sure.